What's up people, it's Wasabi and I'm back with another review. This video is not sponsored, these are my thoughts, personal opinions, and experiences with the product. And today we have the Xlite V3 Mini from Pulsar. And before we get on with the review, here's a quick look at the packaging because that's what you pay for too. Pulsar always does a great job with the presentation. Inside the box you have your Xlite V3 Mini. This looks incredibly small. I mean, just look at that. You get the wireless receiver and dongle adapter as standard. Great looking box of accessories here. A USB-C cable, very nice and bendy. An envelope with a couple of things. A collector's card with the specs of the mouse. I really enjoy how this adds some depth to the packaging experience and makes you feel good owning that mice. A Pulsar sticker and a full color instruction manual. And that's pretty much all that's included inside the box. Now before we begin, let's manage some expectations here. This is the latest version of Pulsar's ergonomic mouse, the Xlite V3, and it's available in three sizes, size 1 being the mini, which is what we have here today, the size 2 medium, and the size 3 large. All three sizes of the Xlite V3 are available in black or white colorways. So Pulsar is a gaming peripheral brand from South Korea. They have made a variety of PC gaming peripherals, gaming mice and accessories, mouse mats, and even a keyboard that I believe is due for an update. And this mouse goes for $99.95, which is the same price across all three sizes. As you would already know, the Xlite is a line of right-handed ergonomic mice that are designed with competitive gaming and ultra lightweight factor in mind. Compared to the design of its predecessor, the Xlite V2, I like the changes of what they did with the Xlite V3. They first released the Xlite V3 in the size 2 medium, which I personally felt was fantastic for a palm grip. After all, that was what they were going for with the design of this mouse. And with this mini, you get all those great curves and everything you love about the Xlite just in a smaller size. Like really, it's the exact same thing, just shrunk down to fit smaller hands. And I think it's great of Pulsar to offer different sizes because gamers with different hand sizes get to experience the same great ergonomic comfort and support from the design. Like with most Pulsar mice, you get the iconic cutouts on the bottom, the same design detail on the PCB, and fun fact, even the mouse skates are of the same size as the larger options. For anyone who is thinking about using their Super Glide glass skates, I got in touch with Pulsar just to check, and it is compatible with all mice in the Xlite series for all three sizes. The quality of the Xlite V3 Mini is pretty fantastic. It's rather impressive because from the moment you pick it up, you would know that this is very well put together. Now before I get into more detail with the shape and how it feels from my experience, to put things into perspective, my hand size is 17.5 by 9. Now the first thing you'll notice is how small this mouse is. I mean, obviously just look at it. For a little comparison to something more common like a DevEdit V3 Pro for example, just look at how small it is next to it. Now this is perfect for people with small hand sizes or prefer using a smaller mouse in general. Unfortunately, there are not a lot of mini size ergonomic mice on the market, so this is a great option to consider. For me, when it comes to ergonomic mice, to get the full benefit of comfort and support from the design, it has to fit your hand nicely with a palm grip. Now this varies from person to person, but to me what makes a good ergonomic shape is that it should almost feel like it's molded to the shape of your hand, which is why the shape and size of a mouse is very important. And honestly, I do love the shape of Xlite V3s. It's one of the nicest feeling ergonomic shapes I've experienced. What I love about the Xlite V3 design is how the mouse buttons feel, and the curves on them make your index and middle finger feel so nicely secure on each mouse button, which also gives you a lot of confidence with your grip on the mouse. Now as I did come from a size 2 medium Xlite V3, I'll share a little bit on how I feel between these two sizes for anyone who needs some input on deciding between the two. The size 2 medium feels very full in my hands, not too big, but I would describe it as filling a glass of water just up to the brim of the glass. For this Xlite V3 Mini size, it feels a little too small for me to reap the full benefits of this excellent ergonomic shape, to the point where I find myself using a mix of claw and fingertip grip styles because the length of this mouse is just a little too short for a comfortable palm grip. Now here's a closer look at what I mean. You can see that by trying to keep my fingers within the mouse, you can see that there's quite a big cavity over here. And when I try to force a palm grip, my fingers do overextend by quite a lot. If my hand size was a little smaller, let's say 16.5 by 8 for example, a mouse of this size would feel so much better with a palm grip. But let's say you have bigger hands and you have a preference for Mini Ergonomic mice, then I'd imagine you would find yourself using the size with either a claw or fingertip claw grip, which I think is perfectly fine. It's all about your preference as a gamer. Now here's a little reference for you people out there to help you visualize the grip styles on the Xlite V3 Mini with reference to my hand size. Now the claw grip is what I usually use most of the time with this one, especially because this being the Mini, it's a lot shorter in length. So compared to a relaxed claw grip, a claw grip just fits ever so nicely with the shape of the mouse. Now here's what a palm grip looks like on the Xlite V3 Mini. As you can see that my index and middle fingers are overextending by quite a lot. I prefer not to use this grip style with a mouse of this size because the point where I apply pressure to click the mouse buttons are a lot closer to my fingertips, which in this case sit a little too far out with a palm grip. Fingertip grip is alright, but because the shape of the back curves more towards the left, it bumps into the back of my palm a little too much, so I find myself using the claw grip more than a fingertip grip with this one. Stated weight on the website is 52 grams plus minus 1 gram, and with the unit that I have, 52.9 grams is not bad at all. The coating on the Xlite V3 Mini feels thick and very evenly coated all over the mouse, and it looks very good. But I wouldn't go as far as to say that this is a great coating for gaming because of how smooth it feels, especially with drier hands. It's the same coating you'll find on all of Pulsar's latest mice, and on the Xlite V3 it's a little harder to grip because of its sloping shape. If you want to have more grip on your Xlite V3, you can consider using Pulsar's Super Grip grip tape. Alternatively, you can consider the ES version because the coating on that version feels a lot grippier than the standard mice. But at the moment, it's only available in a size 2 medium. There are a total of 5 programmable buttons on this mouse: the left and right mouse click, scroll click, 2 side buttons. This mouse has Pulsar's optical switches, and this Xlite V3 Mini that I have is in perfect condition. My experience with the optical switches have been good here. It's nothing amazing, just good. It's not my favorite clicking experience, but for most people, it'll be just fine. Oh yes, let me introduce to you this new thing I like to call my crispy meter. Did that work? Alright, anyway, as I'm always trying to improve my review content with each video, I continue to think of new ways to help gamers from different levels understand the product better without having to physically experience it themselves. So with the clicks here, you only need a moderate amount of pressure, and the optical switches on this one sound rather nice and clicky. To be honest, even though it feels pretty average, I like the feel and sound a lot more than my Xlite V3 ES edition. Damn. So between crispy and mushy, I'd say it's right about here on the crispy meter. Not bad for an optical switch. Crispy meter. Now with the side buttons, there is a slight post travel on the front and a lot more in the back, and this makes the side buttons feel a little on the soft side. It doesn't feel like a very tactile experience. The issue I have with most mini sized mice is that most of them have small side buttons, but that's not the case with this one. Even though this is a shrunken down version, the side buttons here are pretty large, and I think that is fantastic for a mouse of this size. The rubber threads on the scroll wheel feel way too smooth, and what I mean is that it makes it feel a little more difficult to grip. This was the first thing I noticed that made me feel very uncomfortable, because the last thing I would want happen in my game is for my fingers to slip when I need to swap to my secondary weapon, just for example. But that's how I felt when I first got it, so does it get grippier over time? Just a little bit. The size of the scroll wheel on the Xlite V3 Mini is pretty big, and I must say that I like the scroll clicks on this very much. For whatever reason, it feels much nicer and needs just the right amount of force to click, compared to the scroll wheel on the X2 V2. Now it's the same with all sizes of Xlite V3. It uses the PAW3395 sensor. As always, it's a great sensor and I've never experienced tracking issues on this one or any other mouse with the same sensor. You get motion sync and this goes all the way up to 26,000 dpi. With Pulsar's Fusion software, you can enable and disable motion sync, adjust the debounce time with a slider, and assign different functions for the programmable mouse buttons. In the performance tab is where you can adjust the DPI setting, you can adjust the polling rate and lift-off distance, as well as selecting a different DPI effect for the LED on the mouse. And on this tab, you can configure different macro functions as well. The highest polling rate you can go with the USB dongle that comes included with the mouse is 1000 Hz. If you want to experience 2000 Hz or 4000 Hz polling rate, you gotta get their 4K dongle separately. I have not used the 4K dongle with this Xlite V3 Mini because I do not have one. And the 4K dongle that I have on my Xlite V3 ES edition does not work for non-ES mice because of some differences in the hardware. So do you need the 4K dongle to enjoy this mouse? I would say not at all. But if you want to experience high polling rates or as a gamer you prefer to only play at 2000 Hz or 4000 Hz for gaming, then sure, go for it. Personally, with all my gaming mice, I use a mix of 1000, 2000 and 4000 Hz depending on the weather. Battery life on the Xlite V3 Mini is pretty fantastic and you get about 90 to 100 hours from a full charge at 1000 Hz polling rate, and honestly for me it feels like forever and it charges right back up to 100% pretty quickly. The sensor placement is placed right at the deepest point of the curve. If I am to hold this mouse with a palm grip, or as you can tell from earlier, my hand size is a little too big to palm grip this mouse. My thumb goes a little too far up, and if you've seen my previous review videos, my personal preference is when my thumb aligns with the sensor when gripping the mouse. And that is the point where I feel I have the most control with my aim. Now the mouse skates that come on Pulsar mice are alright, but if you have preference for silky smooth glides, you might want to consider aftermarket skates, or you could even give Pulsar Super Glide glass skates a try. The main pad I use is a soft Artisan Zero, and I've been testing a few other pads as well. Overall, the skates on the Xlite V3 are acceptable. The overall performance and feel of this mouse, I think this is a wonderful little ergonomic mouse. Being completely honest with my reviews, this is the first mini ergonomic mouse I've ever experienced, and it's an interesting experience for me, both on how it looks and how it feels. It's a neat little mouse and you just want to keep gaming on it to see what it can really do. In-game performance is nothing short of what you expect from a high-performance gaming mouse. No hiccups or troubles with its connection in-game, and the sensor works amazing and clicks feel okay. So in conclusion, what are some things that I like about this mouse? Despite its size not being suitable for my hand with a palm grip, I love how compact this is, and it's the perfect size to take with you if you travel a lot, and you can use it for regular work or a bit of gaming if you have a gaming laptop, for example. I personally prefer using this mouse for casual gaming, and it's such a nice size to fit in your setup. For competitive gaming, I would prefer something with more support that usually comes with a bigger size. And lastly, the battery life feels like it lasts forever on mine. It's a great improvement over their previous generation of mice. So now what are some of the things I feel can be improved with this mouse? While the coding is of a very good quality, you can tell just by looking at it, but I feel that it needs a boost in the level of grip. Same thing with the scroll wheel, it feels a little too slippery for me and could do with more grip. I don't know, perhaps with future models of Pulsar mice, they'll add a touch of branding to the pattern on the scroll wheel, and that would give gamers a bit more grip. I don't think we've reached a point where all gaming mice will come with 4K dongles as standard, but I do hope Pulsar will do this for their next generation of all their gaming mice. Till then, you have to get the 4K dongle as an additional purchase if you want to experience high polling rates. So 3 reasons why I would get the Xlite V3 Mini. First reason is pretty silly. It's because it's a mini mouse, and there's just something about mini gaming mice that are just so appealing for some reason. All that power and performance in the palm of your hand is just pretty exciting for me. The second reason is that build quality is fantastic across all Xlite V3s, and this size is no different. And the last reason is that it has all the tech improvements and optical switches over, let's say, the Xlite V2. So if that's a mouse you are coming from, there's quite a lot you'll get out of this, in my opinion. Final thoughts. What do I think of its value? Well, let's see. Reliable sensor, great battery life, optical switches, and one of the best ergonomic shapes, large side buttons on a mini mouse, and all that for $99.95. Sounds like a pretty good deal to me. So do I prefer a size 1 or a size 2? Well, I prefer a palm grip or a super relaxed claw grip on an ergonomic mouse. And for that reason, after trying both size 1 and size 2 with my hand size, I would most definitely go for a size 2. But is size 2 a perfect size for me? I would say no. Perfect would be a size 1.5, but that does not exist. But I have to say that I enjoy using both sizes. I think that they both shine with different grip styles. If you have a small hand size and have been waiting for an ergonomic mouse that feels right with a palm grip for quite some time now, this is a wonderful shape and size to try. There are not a lot of options for small ergonomic mice, and I'm sure many gamers with smaller hand sizes are very grateful for what Pulsar is doing, making products with an understanding that there is no one size fits all. Now that is what I call for gamers by gamers, and huge respect for that. So yeah, if you have any questions about the mouse, feel free to drop a comment here and I will try to find some time to get back to you. I have to apologize that I am quite behind on getting back to your replies. I've been very busy with a move, working in the kitchen to keep this channel going, and shooting and writing reviews for the content on this channel. I have some good news I'd like to share with my subscribers who have been with me since the beginning, which was just 4 months ago. I am glad to share that there have been a few great brands who've been in touch with me, and I'm very excited to share my honest thoughts and how I feel about their products with all of you. So do leave a like and subscribe if you've enjoyed the content, and to support the channel as well. So I guess I will see you in the next one.